Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hey there, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. We're so glad that you're watching our show, whether you're watching it live Wednesday night at 7 p.m. or if you are watching it later on off of one of our podcasts on our Indie Book Source page, or if you're listening to us on YouTube or many of the Facebook outlets, or even now, as of tomorrow, you can listen to us on radio, FM radio in Atlanta, Georgia.
WDJY.
Yes, at 9 p.m. on Thursday nights.
WDJYFM.com. You can listen to it actually on your computer. So you don't even have to live in Atlanta.
And if they like us, then they're going to syndicate
the more people
us.
that listen to us they're gonna get sponsors and stuff. So that's cool, right?
I think so.
Yeah. We'll live to broadcast another day.
Yeah.
Shall we say hi to everybody?
All right. First, Joe Conjol says, hey there, hi there, ho there, Rob and Joan. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
George Dismuse says, me and my leg are here. Oh,
well, I hope both your legs are there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. He got bitten by a brown recluse, which is not a fun thing.
Not fun.
CW says, howdy, Rob and Joan.
Hey,
howdy right back. Marjorie Deering says, happy hump day. Hi, all. Yeah, we are. We're on hump day. Didn't think about it. Michael Jacobus says,
hi, Michael.
howdy. Hello, Michael. Welcome to the audience. Glad to see you.
There you go.
And all of you who are silent but watching, we would love to have your comments and your questions.
That's right.
But we know that you're there and we acknowledge you and thank you.
You do. Thanks for showing up at all.
Yeah.
And hope you enjoy it. This Saturday, you got the chance to watch another episode on Episode Rewind. It's the Magnolia Bluff 2023 Part 2 episode that had Caleb Hurdle, Richard Schwent, and Cindy Davis. So it was very good. December 9th, we talk about Magnolia Bluff and their new releases at that time. That was back in May, I think. But that'll be 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, December 9th. Next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, is a pre-recorded visit with Anne Armistad. She's a multi-genre author, historical and paranormal, or historical paranormal and time travel and sweet contemporary. I don't know, crazy kinds of genres, but
What is that again?
I must say historical paranormal, time travel, and sweet contemporary.
Yes.
And that's episode 134. 134 episodes already. Wow.
And that was
crazy.
a fun one.
And that was fun. She's nice. She's a very interesting
very
guest,
nice.
and really like you to tune in and support her.
Yeah.
December 20th, live will be an author, George Dismukes, and author Paul Hollis, and
Who's also a publisher.
And publisher, yes, and book marketer Hannah Pearson,
Who happens to be our granddaughter.
her granddaughter. So,
but she's a publicist, and
she graduated as a marketing major. So,
but we thought it would be good to have her on, and you can ask her questions and all that kind of good stuff. And she is the mother of our first great-grandchild. So,
all right. And speaking of authors,
yeah,
we have a wonderful guest tonight. Again, a revisit here by Michael Scott Clifton, who's hiding away there in Texas, and we're going to bring him on right now. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
how are you doing? We're good. How are you?
I'm fine. Doing great. Thank you for having me on again.
Paul Hollis says, hello, everyone. Hello, Paul. Glad to see you.
Hey, Paul. So you keep writing books, we'll keep bringing you on. How's that? Eventually, we'll get you back on. Oh, the other thing I did want to mention was that the radio station lineup, I forgot to mention that. I do have that here. December 7th is PJ Mann. December 14th is Amra Hall. December 21st is Angela Byrne. She's an Irish author. December 28th is Paul Hollis.
Hey, Paul.
Paul being in the audience reminding me of that. That'll be December 28th on the radio station. Now, back to our guest.
And CW says, hi, Mike.
Hey, CW.
You kind of know each other.
Yeah.
You're both Texans.
Yeah. Well, doesn't he live? Yeah, he lives here. Yeah, that's right. That's right. He's
down near Houston. Yeah.
Mhm.
Near Houston, west side there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, what's new with you since we've seen you last?
Well, I have my 8th book has been published, Pringle Prawn. In fact, it's been out for about a month and a half to 2 months. I'm good for about a book a year. So I started on Pringle Prawn about, let's see, March, April of this, no, earlier than that, February, March of this year, of this year, actually the beginning of the year. And by the time, you get the formatting, the book cover, there's more to it than just the manuscript, obviously. So it generally takes me about a year, and sometimes more. So, and Pringle Prawn is really enjoyed writing a book. It's a fun book, probably has more humor in it than I have. Not that I don't have humor in my other novels, but it has some laugh out loud moments in it, and it was fun. And I've told readers, people ask me what it's about, and I tell them tongue in cheek. I said, when you finish reading Pringle Prawn, I promise you 2 things. Number one, you're not going to be one jot smarter at the end of reading the book than you did when you started, but you will feel a whole lot better. And, because it's an enjoyable tale, escapism with a capital E, and it's just a fun book. And I've written, a fantasy series. I've written several other books that are a little grimmer or darker, if you want to call it that, but Pringle Prawn is basically just a fun book. And it's a pretty fast moving read from start to finish. So like I said, I enjoyed writing it.
Is it a totally new adventure for you, or are there revisiting characters or continuations of anything?
It is a new tale. It is a new book in the sense that it is a standalone novel. Okay. However, Pringle Prawn shares a minor character whose name is Hank Harper, who also appears in several other books I've written, The Treasure Hunt Club and The Janus Witch. Hank is he's a very different kind of cat, so to speak. He owns a unique antiques and oddities shop, and he knows things, particularly those that fall maybe into the mystical or magical side that the ordinary person doesn't. And sometimes when he has customers that appear in his shop, he gives them something a little extra. And
okay,
I like that.
The start of the tale or the book. And in the case of Pringle Prawn, the main character has bought an old mansion, really a dump, because it's all he could afford. And when he starts to, search through the house, he finds an old grandfather clock, one of those old grandfather clocks that are 7 or 8 feet tall, has all the scrolled woodwork of forest animals, et cetera, et cetera. So he decides that he's going to clean it up and sell it and use the money to try to help fix up the old house. But when he opens the bottom panel of the grandfather clock, rather than the pendulum and the weights that you would ordinarily see, instead he sees a descending staircase. And obviously, most of us, curiosity gets the better of him, and he investigates, and it drops him into a magical world where he meets Pringle, a 6-inch forest prawn or fairy, and she saves his life and helps him return back to his world, or our world, It has an East Texas setting in Tyler, Texas, and and decides to tag along. So now, if you can imagine a Tinkerbell type fairy or figure with a supercharged attitude and a pouch full of magical fairy dust, that describes Pringle, and she completely disrupts Ben's life. And as she stays with him day by day, more in his world than her world, she starts to grow larger. Every day she is in his world, instead of returning to her world, she gets a little bit larger, a little bit bigger.
Wow.
And as she grows larger, so does her feelings for the main character.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, Joe Conchel had just asked, "Hi, Mike, that's an interesting title. Where does it come from?" And then he just said, "I guess he just answered my question, LOL." But
well, I like the word Pringle.
Yeah.
And I actually had a student once whose name was Pringle many years ago.
No.
I knew somebody named Pringle too. I went to high school with a guy named Steve Pringle. Last name Pringle. Yeah.
Well, this was a first name. It was a girl. Her first name was Pringle. Like, for the life of me, I cannot remember what her last name is now. But anyway, prawn. Prawn is another word for shrimp. Shrimp equaling small. Pringle, prawn, small fairy. Okay. So, and it goes together, Pringle, prawn. It has kind of rolls off your lips. So, yeah. So that's how I got the name.
Well, not only is it catchy, it's catchy in a way that makes you want to say, I'm going to pick that up and read that, see what that's about. Right?
Well, yes. I've had several people tell me that.
Potato chips. And Joe Conchel says, I ate some chips named Pringle.
Now there's a difference. It's Pringles, plural, as opposed to Pringle, prawn. So yeah, one of the members of my critique group, tongue in cheek, always says, "Well, when we were going through and they were critiquing, we do each other's chapters. Well, what's potato chip going to do in this chapter?"
But that begs the question: if you only eat one Pringles, is it a Pringle?
Yeah. No, that is it Pringles. Then it's a Pringle, right? Okay.
That's true.
Anyway, Pringle prawn, the cover, because I love the cover.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And, and you did actually answer, you did actually answer the question that I had too, and that Joe did too. So that is Pringle prawn that we see.
Right.
That's who she is. And her feelings get bigger and bigger as she gets bigger and bigger for the main character. That's very interesting.
So how do you handle your publishing? Do you do it all yourself, or do you have someone? Are you signed up with somebody, or?
Yeah. So I have a Book Lift Off is the publishing company, which I've used for 7 of my 8 books.
Oh, okay.
And several of my author friends use the same publishing company, and they do pretty. As an indie author, they pretty much do everything. I do have to find the book cover, which I use custom book covers, and the one for Pringle Prawn was actually done, by a custom book cover designer that lives in Belgium, and she's done 4 of my book covers. They cost more than maybe if you went to Fiverr or something like that and got maybe a stock book cover, but I think it's worth it to have covers that pop, because first thing readers do is they look at the book cover. And if you don't catch your attention, then they're probably not going to come back for a second look.
Well, it's a beautiful cover.
It is.
Yeah, she did a great job. I have some really good book covers. I think that is one of the best. I think. I
love it. She's beautiful too.
So, does your publisher help you with marketing at all, or do you?
No, so not wanting to wade out into the weeds or something, but my first book was traditionally published. And I was, like anyone else, first book published, you're ecstatic. And I soon learned that unless you're a mainstream best-selling author already, you're going to have to do a lot of carrying your own water when it comes to publicity and marketing. They can get you into places, but you have to actually do all the work, so to speak, and you're only getting a 25 to 30% royalty. And so when I had the opportunity, I decided that if I was going to have to do all the work, I might as well get the lion's share of the royalty, and have never looked back. So I went the indie route, like most other authors have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. We've hear that story over and over again.
Oh boy. Yeah. Some good and some bad.
Yeah.
Stories,
Publishing
yeah.
isn't what it used to be. I mean, the mainstream publishers, Random House and all the other big
Even
guys.
those that have authors, agents. I've known I've known some authors who have agents who are lucky enough to have agents. I'm not just talking flyby. I'm talking about, some good agents, and they're never happy with their agents because they're having to do the same thing they would with or without the agents, having to do a lot of the own work, and carrying most of the water, particularly when it comes to marketing their book.
And they still get a piece of the action. The agent does. So what we're making on a book anyway is not that much. We all know this.
Oh, yeah.
We're not the ones making all the money. So then you cut it down even further. It's like, Joe Conjal says, I know you go to a lot of conventions with your books. Which have you found are the best for authors?
Comic cons are I don't know if specifically Comic cons, if that's the conventions you're talking about, are the ones that we attend. And all Comic cons are not created equal. So I'll just say that right out front. It depends on a lot of in order for a Comic Con to be successful, particularly if you're an author, which means you probably have an artist booth in a Comic Con, although you can buy a regular vendor's booth, but they're much more expensive. It takes foot traffic. You need a lot of people there. And when you have a popular Comic Con, you will do well. I go to Comic Cons because what I write, science fiction, fantasy, magical adventure, is right up the alley of most of the people.
Right.
If it's historical fiction, romance, maybe not so much. So it depends on the genre that you write in, because again, the fantasy, science fiction, magical adventure fit hand in glove with Comic Cons, but I will say, as far as the Comic Cons go, need to do research in terms of again, the quality of the Comic Con, which I think depends upon the celebrity guests that they have. I've been to those when I've been, I could reach across the aisle and shake hands with William Shatner, from Star Trek, and half the actors and actresses from Alien and Aliens and Star Wars. There's and when you have high profile celebrity guests, you have a lot of people show up, and that's the key. You have to have a lot of people show up, and some conventions don't have that. And
the Comic Cons here, we have a big one in Tampa, and then we have another big one in Orlando. And one of my daughters and I used to go to those all the time and got to know a lot of the celebrities pretty well. Well, she already knows a lot of the celebrities and producers anyway, but I didn't. And so anyway, if any of you watched Star Trek, there was Deep Space Nine. There was a doctor who was a hologram. Okay. And the actor who played him was at one of the conventions, and he was tired. So he left his booth and he went and sat down in a random guy's, one of the artists booth and was sitting there I mean, that artist got a ton of people who all wanted to say hello to him. And then they saw his stuff, and he was just sitting there, so he didn't have to be over at his booth with literally with his feet up on the table and his hat pushed back.
Yeah.
We need to push back and take our first break here. When we come back, Mike's gonna read for us.
Read from his new book.
Yes, so we get a little peek.
Yay!
Sneak peek. So stand by, everybody,
Don't
and we'll
go
be
away.
right back.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Now comes part 4 in the Jaguar series by retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. In this saga, Brandon, Andrea, and Naja, the Black Jaguar, go deep into the Mato Grosso jungle on a mission to rescue 2 kidnapped children. During their journey, they encounter many dangers, including Yanomami Indians, bent on revenge for the murder of one of their warriors.
Return of the Jaguar is book 4 in the Jaguar series, starting with 2 faces of the Jaguar, the Lost City, and the Jaguar's Quest. All 4 are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other bookseller websites worldwide. Return of the Jaguar is a must-read.
The clock is ticking. Can Gracie uncover the truth?
Philip Pliant is the wealthy opportunist plastics dealer and CEO of Pliant Industries. He's also a master thief, creating a pervasive threat to the manufacturing infrastructure in the Caribbean islands markets. With the cartel as his stealth client, the naive city leaders have been seduced, enabling the production of more than 3-dimensional building materials.
The expected profits are monstrous.
Is the art group, now led by Gracie and the family heirs, strong enough to win against this predator?
Can JJ's cats act on the root cause analysis in time?
Will Gracie be able to squash Pliant and the cartels?
Gracie never considered their lives would hang in the balance. The clock is ticking. 5, 4, 3.
It's every parent's worst nightmare. Police officer Madison Jackson awakes to discover her baby kidnapped from her crib. Was it revenge for someone she arrested, or something far more sinister? Madison's estranged husband is incarcerated in Supermax. As the second in command of a deadly Mexican cartel, did he issue the order to abduct their daughter? Bye, Baby, Bye, from author Kelly Marshall. Get your copy today.
Hello, and we're back, and we have a couple more hellos. Connie Clary says,
Hi,
hello,
Connie.
everyone. Sorry I'm late. That's fine. We're just glad you're here now.
Better late than never.
And D.G. McCool Jr., author and sci-fi book reviews, says hello from East Texas.
Hello, DG.
Indie author. Hi. Welcome. All right. Now, let's see. Let me put up here one more time here. Connie says, thank you, agreed. Yes. Let me put up the book cover one more time before he reads. Isn't that pretty? I like that so much. Okay.
Okay. So whenever you're ready, Sarah.
Okay, so this is from page 1, chapter 1, paragraph 1. And it is about 5 or 6 pages long. So here we go. Ben Hastings plummeted into the darkness, falling faster and faster into a scene of madness. A scream rose from Ben's throat, but before he could leave his mouth, he slammed into the ground. The wind knocked out of him. He labored to breathe. Bright sunlight, diluted by swirling clouds of thick dust, greeted him. The air rang with the sharp clash of weapons, inhuman screams, animal snarls, and shouts in an unfamiliar language. Coughing and choking on the dust, Ben struggled to his knees and froze. His disbelieving eyes revealed a sight that caused him to immediately doubt his sanity. Men, some mounted, others on foot, fought a furious battle all around him. But when gaps in the dust allowed him to get a closer look at the combatants, he realized the fighters were not men, but creatures whose appearance bore only a tenuous resemblance to humans. Squat and powerfully built, the being nearest him had a triple ridge of bone that ran across its skull. The bony ridges met at the creature's forehead, giving him a perpetual scowl. A beak-like snout protruded from the creature's face, sharp fangs exposed when it opened its muzzle to snarl. The growl ended abruptly when one of the mounted riders rammed a spear through his opponent. Bright yellow blood fountained from the gory wound, and the creature collapsed. Fear gripped Ben with icy fingers, and he began to hyperventilate. Petrified, he watched the mounted creature struggle to pull his weapon from the carcass. Subtle differences distinguished the mannish beast from its dead opponent. While of the same general size and physique, the being's snout was more abbreviated and its mouth wider. A purple wattle of flesh, much like the comb on a rooster, protruded from the top of its anvil-shaped head. The warrior rode a mount with a horse-like body. This resemblance terminated at the mount's long, scaly neck attached to a blunt head, its wide mouth filled with sharp teeth. Loud, unintelligible curses came from the rooster-combed fighter while he struggled to yank the spear from his dead adversary. He finally jumped off the bizarre horse-like creature and ripped the pike free. With the battle still raging, Roostercomb looked for his next opponent, and straight at Ben. For a moment, time stopped as Ben and the strange warrior gaped at each other. The pause ended when Roostercomb raised his spear, released a guttural cry, and charged at Ben. The sight of the warrior bearing down on him with the sharp-tipped lance broke Ben's paralysis. "Shit!" Ben cried. He jumped to his feet and blindly fled. The thick, choking dust kicked up by the fierce fighting made it difficult to see. The dim images of tents appeared through the haze, their bulky shapes forcing him to zigzag around them. As he rounded one pavilion, he tripped over a guy rope. With an oof, he sprawled face first into the parched loam. Ben rolled into a sitting position and spat out grass and dirt. A lance point suddenly speared the ground between his legs just inches from his crotch, followed by Roostercomb's leering face. As the surreal being pulled the lance back to make a killing blow, Ben grabbed a handful of the loose, dry soil and, in desperation, threw it into Roostercomb's face. The creature howled in pain, dropped the spear, and clapped claw-tipped hands to its eyes. Driven by terror so sharp his heart felt like it might explode, Ben leaped to his feet and ran. Tents and fighting creatures flew by in a blur as he sprinted headlong away from the battle. The noise of the struggle abated, and the dust had thinned when Ben rounded another large pavilion and skidded to a stop. Bent over, his chest heaved like bellows. He turned his head and saw a different set of strange animals picketed not 10 feet from him. Startled by the sight, he almost bolted again. After a hesitant moment, he crept closer for a better look. Saddles on the creatures' backs identified them as riding mounts. The beasts resembled horse-sized versions of a Tyrannosaurus rex. Large, leathery wings lay folded behind their backs and were held immobile by a mesh net secured with leather thongs. They stood upright on large, muscular hind legs with vestigial front legs held folded and close to their bodies. Each T-Rex had a short, thick tail as a counterweight to help it balance. Leather muzzles held the rounded, horny snouts of the creature shut. The purpose of the muzzles became apparent when the T-Rex closest to him turned and tried to remove his hands with its rows of needle-sharp teeth. Ben jumped back, and as he cast about for another avenue of escape, Roostercomb rounded the tent. A cry of triumph left his snout at the sight of Ben. Trapped between the pavilion and the line of mounts, Ben took the only choice left to him. He jumped onto the back of the nearest T-Rex. He wriggled into a saddle obviously designed for a different butt than his. His hands scrabbled at the mesh net, hobbling the creature's wings. Something flashed by, so close to his face he felt the wind of its passage. The spear, thrown by a rooster comb, quivered with its point buried in the ground not 20 feet away. Gibbering in fear, Ben redoubled his efforts. He tore the net from the creature's wings and tossed it away. He risked a look over his shoulder, and Roostercomb took an object from a broad leather belt at its waist and placed a short arrow in it. Ben blinked, then realized the weapon must be a crossbow. Frantic, he grabbed the leather reins tethering the creature to the picket line. He ripped them free, and the picket line shook wildly. This caused an immediate reaction among the other winged beasts. They hopped about, calling out in short, high-pitched barks. Ben's back itched in anticipation of the crossbow bolt, sure to bury itself there. He sawed at the reins and kicked at the creature's sides with his heel. Nothing happened. His shouts, shaking of reins, and sharp digs of his heels did nothing but anger the T-Rex. It repeatedly nipped at Ben. Snap! At the sound, Ben gripped the pommel and threw himself to the opposite side of the winged T-Rex. A feathered bolt missed him and plunged into the meaty flank of his riding mount. The creature reacted instantly. With an ear-splitting honk of pain and outrage, the mount vaulted 10 feet into the air. Its wings opened to full extension, the T-Rex glided a short distance away and landed. The action took Ben completely by surprise, and without his firm grip on the pommel, he would have fallen off. Ben had just righted himself when the T-Rex pitched its head forward, powerful hind legs moving like pistons. They shot away, the wind whistling past his eyes and ears. And just going to read the last little part here. Ben's thoughts drifted back to the sequence of events that brought him to the life or death situation he now faced. Why did I take that damn key and use it? End of chapter 1.
Very
Okay.
good.
Very
That
Okay.
was really good. Actually, why don't we? I'd like to, first of all, let people know where they can find you. And your website is michaelscottclifton.com. That's pretty easy to remember. And it's MichaelScottClifton. And you can find him there, find all of his social media there, his email, everything that you need to get in touch with him. But he's right now doing a free booksy. So if you want to have a free book from the one that we just heard him read from, you want to tell them where they can do that?
Yes, I would like to do that. Just go to freebooksy.com. That's freebooksy.com/featured-books. And then just download an ebook copy of Pringle Prawn.
Yeah.
And you'll be all set. It's for free. Everybody's a winner tonight.
That's right. Everybody's a winner.
Everyone will help Mike and help his statistics and get an enjoyable book out of the deal.
Exactly. And that's the thing. We can all help each other and download a free copy. For a change, you and I get to get a free copy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
C.W. Hawes says, excellent beginning. Yeah, that really is an excellent beginning. It's a really good hook. You're like,
okay,
oh my gosh,
what's going to happen here?
Yeah, what is going to happen?
Here's I'm highlighting the Free Booksy website there for you, if you can't read it on the ticker. And also, did we get his email? Okay. If you want to just shoot him an email and say how much you enjoy his work or ask him questions or whatever, it's msclifton955@gmail.com. That's Mike, or msclifton955@gmail.com.
Now, usually we tell those people who are listening on a podcast later on to go ahead and try for a free book, but that's not going to be
Yeah, that's only good for a couple more days, right?
Well, the free Booksy ends at midnight tonight.
Oh, it's midnight tonight.
So
Ooh,
do it tonight, people, or you're not going to be able to do it.
Write that down.
I think I'll remember.
Oh, okay.
Joe Conjal says, nice reading. Sounds interesting. Yeah, it does. It sounds very interesting. It's funny because one thing, and all of our children know this, and Rob knows this, but my big desire in life is to ride a dinosaur. So, or to have a flying dragon. Yes, I would really enjoy having my own flying dragon. So that's kind of like a combination of both those things I want to do.
The riding mount, I don't even know where I got the idea, but it's, if you can imagine in your mind's eye, a horse-sized T-Rex type of creature with wings. And the way that it is ridden is both on the ground and in the air. So it runs along the ground and then it leaps up in the air and it glides for so many feet, yards, whatever. When it hits the ground, starts running again, and at some point leaps up in the air and it glides. I wanted to start chapter 1 right in the thick of action. Okay. With no breath, no pause. The main character is dropped right into this alien type battle going between these creatures that might be straight out of his nightmares, and then end it with, why did I take that damn key and use it? And so if I'm reading that, I'm thinking, okay, so what does that mean? How did he get there? And so then we sort of go back 48 hours, okay, to get to the point where he's dropped into this alternate world. And and so, like I said, I haven't written a book with the beginning like that before, so I thought I'd try it out with Pringle Prawn.
Joe Conjal suggests that oh, wait a minute, this is D.G. McCool Jr., author and sci-fi book reviews. He said, got the ebook just now. Good luck. Oh, that's very nice. Good. And Joe Conjal said, just write a big turtle. Then he said, they're kind of like a dinosaur, Joan. LOL. Not exactly the same idea, though. I can't imagine the giant tortoise,
a little slower, and they don't breathe fire.
And and I don't think that they would make me feel very protected.
CW just got the free books.
That's great. Everybody should download it.
We're having fun here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's about time for our last break. And then when we come back, what we should do is talk about what you got coming up.
Okay. And we can also talk a little bit about his other books. For anybody I just would like to run through all of them. For those that are not familiar with his work, they will be after this next commercial break.
All right. So stay tuned, everybody. Be right back.
Paradise, my prison. Charlie Flint awakens from a deep sleep and finds himself alone on a tropical beach surrounded by a palm tree jungle and exotic animals. He cannot remember who he is or anything about his life. First, he must find food and build shelter and protect himself from hidden dangers. As his memory gradually returns, it reveals what a very flawed person he is. A man who made too many mistakes, made too many enemies. The implications of the truth are staggering. How did Charlie get there? And will he save himself? Paradise, My Prison is the riveting new suspense thriller from retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. Paradise, My Prison by George Dismukes is available in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats worldwide.
An unforgettable mystery thriller that will transport you back to 17th century England. Introducing Dream of Courage, facing fear head-on, your passport to 17th century mystery, mayhem, and murder. Follow Robert and John Rushworth through Leeds' bustling Brigade District, where danger lurks in the shadows, embodied by the thief-taker Jacob Wilden. You will laugh, you will cry, and be in awe of the twists and turns. Its meticulous attention to character development, emotional nuance, and the unfolding of the story's layers promise a compelling and emotionally charged journey. The U.S. National Times said, "Modern writers usually don't know what it was like to live in the past. But Rushworth Brown does this with great skill. Uncover the secrets of Smythe, the enigmatic tavern keeper who sends Robert to the Haven, to the pirate Captain Girlington. Will he outweed danger in the nick of time?"
It's 1919, and Eric Laska returns from the war in Europe. Two new enemies await him in the small coal mining town he calls home. One is a threat to his relationship with Rebecca, the love of his life. The other, a bloodthirsty beast, is stalking the mining town residents. The townspeople suspect Eric of one of the killings. An old man and Rebecca's 11-year-old sister have seen the beast, but only Eric believes their story. To protect the town and clear his name, he's forced to prove the werewolf exists. Available on Amazon. The Horror Within by Marjorie Swift Doring.
And we're back.
We are, most certainly.
So your first book was The Open Portal.
That was actually my third book.
It was your third book.
That's the first book in the Conquest of the Veil series.
And that's what I meant. And this is the second one.
Yep.
Escape from Wheel.
And third is Witch's Brew.
Witch's Brew, yeah.
Fourth is Cavern of the Veil Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then the Janus Witch, is that a standalone or is that part of?
Yes, it's standalone.
Okay. And then the Treasure Hunt collection.
Standalone.
Treasure Hunt Club. Yeah.
Treasure Hunt Club standalone.
Okay. And then you did this collection, Beyond the Sea collection. So.
And Edison Jones.
In the
I
anti-grav
love that title.
elevator.
That's great. Edison Jones and the anti-grav elevator. That's awesome.
And these are all fantasy type science fiction books, right?
Actually, the Treasure Hunt Club, the Treasure Hunt Club, and is considered what I would consider to be magical adventure set in a contemporary setting with contemporary characters, much like Goonies, Indiana Jones, National Treasure. And in all those cases, what you have are these movies, which I think they're based on books, where you have, again, contemporary characters, contemporary setting, but you have a magical object of some kind which drives the story. So in the case of the Treasure Hunt Club, it is a magical book called The Book of Lost Treasures, which can find anything that has ever been lost. And the main character is a 30-something young man who we've all met. We've all known someone like that. His luck only runs one way. It's all bad all the time. A job or relationship, because he's always looking for shortcuts through life that never work out until he finds the Book of Lost Treasures. So imagine what a character like that would do with a book that can find anything that's ever been lost. And that's the story of the Treasure Hunt Club.
Interesting.
And, Edison Jones is based on a book series that y'all may be familiar with that I enjoyed when I was a kid growing up, loved it. The book series was called Tom Swift. And it was produced by the same company that produced the Nancy Drew series and the Hardy Boys series. And Tom Swift was a young inventor who invented cool things and went on scientific adventures. So it's been out of print for many, many years now. And my 21st century attempt to revive that is Edison Jones. He's a 12-year-old seventh grader who's a genius inventor. And he invents an anti-gravity magnet, which revolutionizes launch technology because it makes the use of rockets to put payloads in space obsolete. And because his anti-gravity magnet, he makes a space elevator, which is how payloads are put in orbit from Earth's surface. And of course, there's adventure to it. And the other twist to it is Edison is paraplegic. He's paralyzed from the waist down, but he has used his mind and his his inventions to pretty much overcome his disability and do anything he ordinarily would have done with or without use of his legs.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I love that. I love the idea of that.
Yeah.
That's really great.
And that Treasure Hunt Club has a fascinating cover. It looks like it should be
Magical.
on TV.
A magical book,
a series, yeah.
The interesting backstory on the Treasure Hunt Club involves Caleb Pirtle, because I had that book traditionally published, and unfortunately my timing could not have been worse, because it was about a year before brick and mortar bookstores starting to go out of business left and right because of ebooks, the rise of ebooks. And they were followed shortly by publishers, both large and small. And my publisher was one of the ones that
bit the dust,
went out of business. And it was in bankruptcy for 2 years. And to say I was discouraged would have been a huge, understatement. I didn't know that I was ever going to write another book, because the one I had written was in limbo, and didn't seem like there's any way I was ever going to get out of that. And Caleb, once the book bankruptcy proceedings were finally finished and I got the book back, but I didn't have the original manuscript, because I didn't own the rights to the books until the publisher did, until the bankruptcy proceedings were finished. But I didn't know anything about publishing. So in steps Caleb. So he got the book cover for the book. He got he did everything, the formatting, he did everything the publisher originally did to get that book republished, of course, with a different book cover and the ISBN and all of that. And I will forever be grateful to Caleb for doing that, because I probably wouldn't be appearing with y'all tonight, because I probably wouldn't have written another book had it not been for that, for him helping me out
and encouraging you.
Yeah.
There was only one Caleb, and we miss him.
Yep, we do.
Yep.
Good man.
Yeah. One of a kind. They don't make them like that anymore.
No, they don't.
That's the truth.
So, do you have anything on the drawing board right now?
I
could talk about it.
I've started a new book. Of course, like I've said earlier, or alluded to earlier, I'm about a book a year person. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm not, this book is going to be more mainstream. It's not going to be fantasy, magic adventure. If you've ever seen the movie Hoosiers, okay. So I was a basketball coach for 21 years. And when I stopped coaching and teaching, I went into administration. And for 17 years, I was a principal. So here in East Texas, and in Texas in general, football and basketball mix like oil and water. There's an interesting backstory to all of that, which I'm going to sort of put in the book, but can't really go over tonight. But I have talked to many basketball coaches down through the years, and heard lots of different stories, and also humorous stories of players that they have coached, and so I'm going to make a Hoosiers type of book. I'm going to write a Hoosiers type of book called The End Game. And it's going to be about a basketball coach who is coaching a team. I won't necessarily call them misfits, but they certainly would be odd pieces on the basketball team, and sort of write it where if you love the game of basketball, or if you like sports in general, and if you kind of give you the flavor of how football is so overarching in Texas compared to every other single sport. And so it's something that I want to write. If you follow what I'm saying, I think it'll be entertaining. I think it'll be successful, but it's something that I think I've learned enough about writing now to pull off, if that makes sense.
And you must have a lot of experiences that you'd like to share.
Well, I'm going to take the Joe Friday thing where the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Protect the innocent. Yeah.
So yeah. So it's going to be a work of fiction, but it's going to be based on things I've seen, observed, and heard.
Yeah.
And
right.
It's going to be fun. And it's going to be Hoosier side. It's going to be set back. It's going to be set in the year 1995. About 25 years. What is that? 25 years ago, close to that, something like that. And so it is. It's a book that will be set 2 or 3 decades earlier, but not Hoosier style in the 1950s. So to speak. So
right.
Anyway. I'm about a third of the way through it. Critique Group loves it so far, and they've kind of the bellwether I use, to kind of judge whether or not the writing is up to snuff. So far, I'm pretty happy with what I've done.
Well, that's great. That's a fun thing to do, to write about something that you really know and that you love, and that you can see the whole picture of and be able to express all of those things. I get why that you're having so much fun writing that.
Yeah, because most people see it from your what perspective you had.
Right.
They see it from the other side, from the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
So that should really be interesting.
Well, it's meant to be entertaining,
right.
And so it's, like I said, it's something I wanted to write. And like I said, I think I finally reached a point where I think I can pull it off and do a fairly good job writing it. So we'll see.
Well, good. And so we can expect that next year.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
And it's really a change from what you've been writing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's night and day, which is another, it's kind of scary because, I'm kind of used to writing in this fantasy magical world genre. So being real world, if you want to call it that,
right.
is a little intimidating, but I'm going to try to see if I can do it.
It's a huge difference. So, and actually that brings me back to another question that I had. What made you decide to write the kind of fantasy that you did? Why did you decide to, write in that genre?
That is a very good question. And, I get asked that quite a bit at a lot of the book shows. I go to almost every one I get asked that. And the short answer is that when I was growing up, I loved science fiction. I read Robert Heinlein. I read Frank Herbert. I read all of the giants, science fiction giants of the day. And then one day, I don't know, I think I was a freshman in high school, I picked up a book called, the mind just went blank, Lord of the Rings. And read it. And of course, I've been hooked on fantasy ever since. But the way science fiction, this is my opinion, don't want to step on anybody's toes, but the way science fiction and fantasy has evolved since then, I don't like, because the books are much thicker. You can use some of them almost like doorstops. And if I've learned anything about writing over the last 12 years or so, it's that if you can say in one paragraph what others are saying in one page, you're a pretty damn good writer. And if you can say in one sentence what it takes others a paragraph to say, same result. And I think with science fiction and fantasy, it's like a meringue pie, where you've got 4 inches of meringue and only 1 inch of pie. There's so much extraneous stuff written into it that doesn't need to be there, almost like repeating the same thing, only describing it in 5 different ways. And I think the reason why there are not more readers of fantasy is because not necessarily because they don't have the bent toward fantasy and adventure and stuff like that, but because so much time is spent on world building and all of that that you never get to a character or a situation that the reader recognizes.
Yeah,
I
not
agree with
enough
that.
pie.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've got just about a minute and a half. We've got one last question here from Joe. Plotter or pantser?
Oh, pantser with a capital P. Yeah. I don't know how to plan. I wouldn't even know where to begin.
There you go. Well,
Agreed.
This has been great. I wish we had more time tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Michael. And we're going to hop on to Booksy here and get your book here in a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll enjoy Pringle Prawn.
Well, thank you for having me on. Thank you so much.
We appreciate
We're
it.
going to move you over to the side. There we go. And let's see. Next week, pre-recorded visit with Ann Armistead. It's a really good show, so be sure to tune in and support. WDJYFM.com, Thursday night, 9 to 10 Eastern Time. You can go right to the website there and you can watch or listen to the show. Other than that, I don't know what else. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Nope. I think just a comment here from Joe Conjo.
Oh,
great show tonight. Thanks, Mike, Joan, and Rob. Thank you.
Thank
our audience as always. Best audience in the world.
That's
Most podcasters should be this lucky.
Boy, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, until next time.
That's all, folks.
Good night, all.
Live every Wednesday, your Voice of Indie hosts Beam Weeks and Stephen Gees welcome authors, musicians, publishing industry pros, artists, and assorted creative guests for an exciting interactive hour. Call in during the show or post questions and comments on Twitter for responses in real time. Meet your favorite indie creators, learn inside tips, network, and promote your work. The link for each week's show is pinned on Twitter atop @VoiceOfIndie. And you can receive the link every Wednesday morning in your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter at freshinkgroup.com. Check out Voice of Indie every Wednesday on Blog Talk Radio and catch hundreds of episodes archived everywhere from our websites to our YouTube channel and Spotify.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.